Okay.
Sir, we'll start now, sir. Hari, sir?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Lakshita, please start. Riyanshi?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon to one and all. Hope everyone is doing sound and is being safe. It is a great pleasure and honor for me to welcome you all for the most awaited webinar on Roadmap to 5G, conducted by IETSF of the Department of Electronics and Telecommunication at DJ Sangvi College. We at EXCC department have always been solicitous about acquainting all with recent trends in technology, and hence, amidst lockdown and social distancing, we are up for this initiative to organize this webinar on 5G. Again, we welcome you all attendees and hope all of you all gain the most out of this webinar. Now, I would like to request Principal Sir Dr. Hari Vasudevan to share a few words of wisdom.
Good afternoon. Welcome Dr. Sanjay Pawar, Dr. Amit Deshmukh, my faculty colleagues, and dear student friends of the IIT ESF committee. Now, most of the students who are in this particular session may have been born in the 3G and 4G era, but we have lived through the 1G and 2G eras, because in 2001 period is when 3G and 4G, that particular series emerged. So most of for our young students who are in second year, third year and all belong to this millennium. See, 1G actually supported only voice call communication and not the data. Whereas in 2G it supported the cellular networks. These cellular networks supported both voice and messaging services. So we had seen all the pagers and all that difficult to get connected kind of phone calls, etc. So those were the services, the servicing mechanism, that the messaging mechanism that we used to use is pagers and all that. Our students probably have not come across anything like that. But with this millennium starting 2001 onwards, 3G and 4G came. So these cellular networks support both voice and data services. The question is only about the data transfer speed, So 3G could support up to about 2 Mbps. 4G could go up to around 100 Mbps. And we also could see the convergence of wired and wireless communications in the 4G era. Now the 5G networks are actually talking about 10 times the speed of 4G. Actually, it will support IoT enabled services, heavy services, the data heavy services. So that's going to be the significance of this 5G. And because now we are into the era of IoT applications and all that, so those data heavy services need to be supported. So this is where the importance, the need and the requirement of 5G comes in. And 5G is also supposedly having higher flexibility, scalability, reliability, etc. So we are going to be entering an interesting era. Till now, my limited understanding says some Korean companies have only developed, or Huawei or other Chinese companies, but it's yet to catch up with various parts of the world and the communities as far as 5G networks are concerned. So in this context, I'm extremely happy that Dr. Sanjay has agreed to take this session, Roadmap to 5G. So it'll be interesting for all of us to listen to him. He's going to be covering in the various aspects related to introduction of evolution of wireless networks, 4G wireless network and its limitations, expectations of future networks, the technologies involved with 5G and future network, standards and the architecture of 5G, the ecosystems of 5G, applications of 5G, the security issues concerned, the developmental aspects of 5G, etc. So I'm sure all in all, we will have a very fruitful and enriching session over next 2 hours. There were some technical delays, so the outset, I also would like to mention our pardon for this. Good, at least now that we are able to connect, and I'm sure Dr. Sanjay Pawar's session will be very, very valuable and enriching for all of us, those who know minimum about our 5G, etc., or 4G itself, and then 5G. We will be really enriched with this kind of a session. So I take this opportunity to thank him personally, Dr. Sanjay, for agreeing to be here with us for the session, and also congratulations and thank you to Dr. Amit Deshmukh Head of the Department of Electronics and Telecommunication Engineering, as well as other faculty members who have been helpful in organizing this particular session. And very importantly also the students of the IETS SF chapter, Agam Saraf and others. I know Rianchi is there and a few others who made announcements and all, keeping us engaged by saying that every 5 minutes, it's just going to start, etc., etc. So thank you to all of them. Congratulations to everyone involved. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sanjay, once again. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words. Now moving on, I would like to call upon Professor Amit Deshmukh, Head of Department of EXTC at DJ Sangvi College, to share a few words.
Thank you. Good evening all. Respected Principal Sir, Dr. Sanjay Pawar Sir, dear faculty colleagues, IETSF committee, let me first of all congratulate all of you for organizing this event, as well as thanking Hari Sir also, because he just shared a thought last week which we discussed with Sanjay Pawar Sir, and we are organizing this event. So thank you, sir, for this. As Sir said, this over last 20 years, in fact, we have seen the evolution of this mobile network. Like in my IIT days, we never had the mobile or anything. In fact, we were the first one to introduce that time to the email services. Of course, it is not a part of the mobile network, but still our generation, or like our people, or most of us have seen how these 1G to 2G to 3G now to 5G has evolved. So I'll really not talk much about here, because we are eager to listen to Dr. Sanjay. So in fact, all of us have seen, or all of us have seen in the TV that recently the Reliance, that Jio network, have announced their 5G network, where the Google also have made, or in the Facebook has made a lot of investment into that, and which I think is going to come in the next year or so. So I'll just cut short here. I'll congratulate everyone who is actually organizing this event, and let's look forward to lots of technical inputs from Dr. Sanjay Pawar Sir, because it will be helpful for our students as well as faculty members in pursuing the research in this 5G communication area. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your enlightening words. Now, I would like to hand over to Abhishek, who would introduce our revered speaker. Thank you.
Can it be short, because already we have wasted time? Just introduce me as a principal, I'll speak. Because let us not waste time on the introduction part. So maybe just introduce I am as a principal, and then I'll continue.
Okay, sure, sir. Thank you, Rianchi. I'm privileged to introduce our speaker for the event, Dr. Sanjay Pawar. Dr. Sanjay Pawar is the principal at Usha Mittal Institute of Technology, SNDT, Women's University. Thank you, sir. So you can continue. The stage is yours now.
Thanks a lot, and thanks, Dr. Hari, for inviting me. And in fact, rather than you inviting me, I thought to introduce this 5G. The reason behind this one is, again, I'm repeating to all the students and faculty members that since last 3 to 4 years, I'm following this technology. First of all, rather than initial talk was with respect to top 10 5 technologies that will govern the future world, and then came down with respect to various technologies. One of them was 5G, then another is IoT, then SDN is there, NFV is there. So all these combinations make a realization what is called as a virtual world of a 5G. So when I say, again, most important thing I would like to talk to the students as well as faculty members, 5G is not strictly related to only electronics and communication. Please remember this one. The challenges are there in a various domains. In business domain is there. For example, if you have this bandwidth, what you will do with this bandwidth? So that opportunity comes from the management point of view. Microelectronics domain comes into picture. I wanted a chip which can run such a fast, as Dr. Hari said, and once I'll go into the details of the specification. What we would like to get the chip is which is 10,000 times faster than this one. So there are challenges in designing a chip, and that's where the companies like Qualcomm come into picture, and their chips are there. Then comes a software. As many of you know, again, we have, or the applications of wireless communication or cellular communication comes mostly from a cell phone design point of view. There is a lot of change in the design architecture from the internal structure of 5G as well as the cell phone also. So a lot of challenges are there in this case, and then designing of mobile computing also, those things are also. So here comes a computer students or operating system students are specifically designing of an app point of view. Then comes what is called as electronics and communication. You need to take care of what is the access networks, what is the meaning of an access network, what are the different technologies of access network, how do I design a signal. So this is where the communication engineer comes into picture. More advanced version of a MIMO is there. Unless and until MIMO is there, you will not be able to govern, or you will not be able to have a 5G and so on. When all these things comes into picture at the back end, when a huge such data is there, there should be a fiber optics communication which has to take care, which has to carry your load and so on. So what is more important is 5G is such an terminology, such an technology which is not restricted only to electronics and communication, but with all the domain. So when I'll go in deep with some of the aspects, I'll let you know that what are the things to be known and what are the expertise area. Now, the reason I'm having this lecture, and this is not the first lecture, but this is a multiple series of lecture I'm having, is I'm a part of some global forum where a lot of discussions are going on with respect to this 5G. And as already you know, the standardization has been done. And then next is thoughts of 6G is also going on. So when I say today 5G is 1 GB per access network, 6G, which is approximately expected to be 2030, 1 terabyte per device is coming into picture. Now, what we are going to do with respect to that? That's the reason the applications designing comes into picture, and we are looking for teaching faculty members. We are looking for the students in all domain, which could contribute into the thought process of multiple things. One is creating a business ideas, as you might have gone through various forums, which says that present tools or technology is not or will not be sufficient for you in the next 5 years and so on. Presently, you need to imagine what could be there in next 5 years and work on that one and design the tools and expertise that one. Then only you'll be able to survive in next 5 years. So all these combinations are there, and that's the reason we are trying to create a pool of expertise, we can say, and understanding this technology, what it exactly means, and then based upon your interest and so on, you can expertise those areas, and you can come back to us in detail whenever the things are required. Now let me share my slide first. I will be switching, actually half an hour has been lost, but I will try my level best to ensure that most of the things are covered. So whichever things are a bit detailed, technical, I may skip. My intention here is to introduce to the most of the part of the 5G where various domains comes into picture and so on. So let me share my Are you able to see my slides?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are able to.
So I will be shifting my slides from this slide to some other. So on an average, my talk will be related to evolution of wireless networks, technologies involved in 5G, architectures, and then we'll move towards slides, some other slide, and then the security issue. The same talk I had given in previous lectures also. So let us go through evolution. In fact, you also should remember that there is a tough fight between the 5G as well as wireless Wi-Fi networks actually and so on. So Wi-Fi 802.16 WiMAX. So if you see the older version of wireless evolutions, you can see here the voice network is 1G, low speed, medium speed, high speed. Then comes a 2G, which is comparable to 802.11, and then 2.5G. In between, we have various versions were there. Then 3G is there, and the 4G is there. So based upon the application point of view, we can see here first initially it was a voice, then it was a text, then it was a graphics, then video, high streaming, multimedia, etc. will come into picture. First, let's go fast. One is 1G, which called as a NMT. Also, it is also called as a total access communication networks. Also AMS. It was in 1981, and the frequency band for this one was about 150 to 900 megahertz, 30 kilohertz. Technology was analog, and 2 kbps was there, the speed. So imagine, actually this speed is very important because as we go higher and higher, the speed will be going increasing. And before that, if you see our telecommunication network, or what is called as our landline telephone communication, consists of this one was a 64 kbps, where we used to communicate through voice 64 kbps. So in this case, it is a 2 kbps. A simple architecture, PSTN was there, MTS was there, and BTS base stations were there. And this is how the communication used to take place in a 1G network architecture. What are the problems? Poor battery, large in size. I still remember initial ways where I used to carry a huge phone, the same thing. There was no security. You might have seen previously there was a cloning of the chips, etc. and so on, and then transfer of money, etc. Poor voice quality, frequency call drop was there, a lot of frequency, and one of the criteria for deciding quality of a network was frequency call drops. Then came a 2G, which is what is called as a 1.58 gigahertz, a digital communication. Bandwidth was around 200 or 900 megahertz in 25 megahertz of range. Technology was digital GSM. Data rate here it comes to 64 kbps, allows text messages. It was in 90s TDMA, multiple access, what we call as access technology and FDD technologies. So this is the TDMA multiple access system. Terminologies was a GSM and supplementary in 2G. What was initially only voice was there, now the SMS came into picture. So this was some kind of band, various standards. I'll skip those. I think most of you might have gone through the standards. As in case of various technologies, even today when the world is divided between Chinese and US people, similarly at that time and since initial also there was a division of a world from technology also. So US was using some one standard, Japanese were using some another standard, European were using third standard. So these were the different terminologies were being used. But if you see on an average the end product from the frame rate point of view, time slot point of view, etc., they are more or less the same thing. This was an architecture for 2G where base station controller was introduced, base stations were there, system was there, PSTN, and then core network was there, where here you have some kind of a terminals where base station was there, which is called as a BTS and base station controller. Operating system and support controllers were there, control and monitor for monitoring GSM system. Mobile switching centers, which is supports registration, and MSC is there even today also. But the architecture and the functionalities for the MSC has been changed a lot as compared to the MSC at that time, which supports the registration, the authentication, call location, call routing. Then, as all of you know, HLR, VLR, the use of them is to locate the guest as well as who are in the home location registers. Gateway mobile switching center taking care of the switchings. GPRS sending packets for some kind of a network, etc. and gateway GPRS. So these are some of the, as we are moving from 2G to 3G also, intermediate ranges where there some kind of add-on features were added. That's what if you might have seen GPS network, etc. Even today on your cell phone, when you go on setting, this terminology will come into picture. Where GPRS released to general packet radio services. Edge is there, where enhanced data rate for GSM evolution, Edge GPRS, to improve the speed and latency. These things are being added actually. 2.5G, which has came with now the cameras with Edge and eGPRS, we can say. And the speed was 63 to 144 kbps, where at that time seems to be some MP3 songs were coming or can be stored on this 2.5G phones. Then came 3G, and on an average, if you can remember now, on an average, every decade, start of a decade, there is a talk of a technology, which was, so if you see here, in 3G was 2001, 4G will come into picture 20, so 1990 or 2G, etc. So every decade, those change in the technology is there, and every 10 years there will be change in the technology. So 2001 Edge, here we came into picture into the terminals called code division multiple access systems, CDMA, WCDMA, CDMA TD, where now today you can see when you are setting, you have options of HSPA or HSPA plus, which is called high speed packet access, plus and UTRAN, UMTS terrestrial radio access network. With the frequency of 1.6 to 2 gigahertz, bandwidth of 100 megahertz, then characteristics are there, technology CDMA, UMTS Edge, better than 2G. From 2000 to 2010, called as the smartphones, where we were used to call some kind of a video calls were there, not as fast as today we have. Fast communication, mobile TVs and 3G phones were rather bit expensive at that time. Then these are some of the comparisons when you say these are the terminology related to some company, and if you see the when you learn towards the digital communication, you have this QPSK. These are the standards which are being used in this terminologies. Channel bandwidth 5 megahertz, listening to 3.1.25, frame duration is the same, slot data rate 1 Mbps, etc. This is what 3G WCDMA network architecture comes into picture. Node B. There are various nodes will come into picture. I will explain what are those nodes comes into picture, and then this is a core network, and this PSTN network comes into picture. So this is an access which we call this is a core network. So from now onwards, you can see that this part is something else, this part is something else, and this backbone is something else. So this is a source of multiple access technology for 5G network from beyond the Springer series is being taken. Then came approximately 2010, what you can say this 4G, but here the year is being 2013 matured, though in India we started a bit late, but as outside world you can see it has started a bit long. With earlier in 2013 band up to 8 gigahertz, 5 to 20 megahertz data rate up to 20 Mbps. Though it is 20 Mbps, I doubt any one of us have this 20 Mbps now on our 4G. Comparison now. So let's see in case of a requirement the speed 384 kbps to 2 Mbps, 2200 Mbps. Band depends upon country to country. Bandwidth is 5 to 20 megahertz. 4G is 100 megahertz. Switching design, circuit and packet. But now all these things are digital packets. So you cannot hear, or presently there is no any case of a circuit or packet switch network where logical connections were being done between two users when the call was being set up and so on. Access technology in this case was WCDMA, and here now we are seeing as most of us are matured with OFDM and MC CDMA. MC is multi-carrier CDMA. Comparison from the pictures point of view, this is 3G where theoretical maximum download speed was there, and typical real speed, you can see the theoretical and typical real speed and so on. So 3G theoretical was 7.2, here it is 3 practically. HSPA plus, it was 42, but it is 6. 4G LTE, it is 150, but you get 14. 4G LTE advanced, it is some value here, more than that, but now still 42. But I still doubt whether we have any network which gives us 42 Mbps of connectivity now. So evolution in this case, this was a 2008, this was 4, as I said, 2010 was a 4G, then came 2014, and then now we are dealing with the 5G actually. So 4G, some of the architectures comes into picture. Here we are separating what is called as a control plane and a data plane. All of you understand this control plane, E node B is there and G node Bs are there. E stands for the enhanced nodes. So whatever the nodes of the traffic or whatever the cell phone or the towers we say, this is we call as a E node B, and when we go to the next version we call that as a G node B and so on. So here you see that initially this was only a single link. Now here we are having a control plane different and the data plane different and so on. And here we have a EPC where processing center is there, which consists of a data routing, data handling, and setting up a codes, parameters, etc. In LTE also there were various versions, which is called as a R8, R9, supporting FDD, TDD, which is a frequency division duplexing, time division duplexing with the bands of this technical specification. OFDM, single multi-user SU MIMO. All of you might be understanding multi-input, multi-output for some advanced version. To achieve this high speed, one of the solution is a MIMO, where one of the research areas there are a lot many people. Dr. Deshmukh itself is working in the antennas, and he knows the importance of having a MIMO antennas and the challenges involved with respect to this in case of a signal processing also. Here in the LTEs we have 300 Mbps of download, 75 Mbps of upload speed. Latency was 20 millisecond. Multicast and broadcast facilities were being used. Various versions were there, as I said. You can see here it was a R8 and R9. Here it was a LTE advanced R10 and R11 supporting higher. As we get an enhanced here, you can see here a peak data rate is 1 Gbps, 100 Mbps. These are from the standards point of view, but today, presently, maybe from research point of view, where the countries are like South Korea, Japanese people, and maybe some area of Europe, you can get this speed. But presently, I doubt we have any LTE advanced in India actually. And so on. Here, the user latency plane is 100 milliseconds, and then enhanced support heterogeneous network, which consists of multiple combinations. So this LTE-B, where local area advancement soft cells were there rather than hard cells, where some kind of what is called as a, so now here you can see that we are slowly migrating from what is called as a LTE towards some kind of a new concepts and new terminologies used gradually in case of a 5G. So what the new term comes into picture is a local area enhancement, that is called as a soft scale. Soft scale here in case of a cell here means what, in previous case there was a fixed cell, and the power was fixed and the range covering is a fixed one. But now here I am able to control the size of a cell based upon the requirement. lean carriers, beam forming enhancement. The people who are working in antennas, you can see this beam forming has really enhanced the gain of an antenna and then enhanced the capacity of a cell, etc. and so on. So enhanced machine type communication, one terminology will come into picture where rather than communicating between the man and machine, here the machine type communication comes into picture. 3D MIMO, enhanced self-organizing network, radio access networks, RAN comes into picture. Key features in this case is physical layers, MIMO, those who are working in the coding, turbo principal codes, different codes are there nowadays, channel depending scheduling. So these are the what is called as the issues to be discussed in terms of what is called as a LTE advanced and then going towards the 5G things. Multiple access schemes, OFDMA is there, single carrier FDMA is there, MC, CDMA is there. So these are the evolution. This one gives you an idea how we have gone from what is called as a 1G, where you can say the TAC is there, NMT is there, JTAC is there, AMP is there, SMR is there in 1960s, 1990s, where you can see here 2G, there is GSM is there, and these various versions are there. 2.5G in between, GPRS is there, H with those specifications are there. Then you have a 3G from 2000 to 2008, where WCDM is there, CDMA 2000 standards are there, which is known by ITU. And then comes here 4G, which we are in a present era from 2008 onwards towards 2019, where the standards are there, EXPA plus, UMB, LTE, and then we'll be going towards this 5G, which is 10G, 10 Gbps download speed, etc. etc. Now this is what again evolution comes into picture, where 4G and beyond heterogeneous networks comes into picture, and then these are what is called the parallel other technologies. You should also remember that one. If you see, in addition with the 5G, a lot of work is also being thought from the Wi-Fi point of view. But this is not a forum to discuss what about Wi-Fi and so on. But we just stick towards the 5G concept here. What cannot be done with 4G? Surgery is not possible. Self-driving is not possible. Specific drone applications are not possible. And again, because AR and VR requires high amount of speed, this is not possible. Issues with the fixed and broadband, when you compare, so as I said, one of the solution was to high speed is a 5G, or sorry, Wi-Fi 6 we can say presently, but it does not provide any level of mobility. Wi-Fi cannot provide a mobility. It can go beyond at the most 50 meter practically, but there have been some theoretical concept where it has been extended to 1 kilometer, 2 kilometer, with some specifications, some limitations. Capex is very high, still low wired broadband penetration. In case of 4G, what are the problems? Though we say 4G is the best, and I do not dream beyond 4G presently, but still, what are the high latency for some specific applications? May not handle the data speed, number of devices, and high value. When we will go towards some application, we will see the imagination of the speed that is coming into picture, which is very high, which is difficult for this 4G platform to be handled like this one and so on. Modulation technique is complex and which enhances or what is called that drains the battery here and so on. So what are the issues with the present networks? Global market traffic is increasing by 51%. That is it was 3.59 billion in 2018. It is going to be 69 billion. 69% in 5.9 billion 2023. So 2023 is not far away. This is what the status is here. This is 3.6 devices per capita will be on a network. That is 18.4 billion in 208 and 29.3 billion in 2023 devices will be on a network. Share of MTC, machine type communication, 33%. In 2023 it is 50%. Now what it is, why I am showing this figure is a scope of a data on a traffic which is expected to be increased, and whether 4G will take this load or not. In this case, the consumer segment is about 74%. Connected home appliances about 48% of MPM shares. So these are some of the statistics taken from the net for understanding why should we go, why should we study, why should we understand those statistics for e-com. 26% of smartphones will be responsible for 88% of a global mobile traffic actually. Average mobile user to download 1 terabyte of a data annually by 2020. So if you calculate yourself, I think cell phone also gives you some kind of statistics. If you annually download certain things, even if you watch, it comes to be 1 terabyte. A reference is from Cisco 2018 paper. What are the challenges for future networks? A high resolution video streaming, tactical internet, road safety, measures. A lot of, in fact, in some of the applications that was looking, most of the accident is happening because of the casualty or the carelessness of the drivers and so on. Remote monitorings are there, end-to-end latency. Presently, I do not have a latency of that one, but I can imagine the applications for the latency period and so on. Reliability and robustness, these are the challenges for the network operators. So this is from high definition. I don't have presently a high definition point of view. Drivers, safe driving, safe roads, safe vehicles, these are some of the applications. Tactical networks, the imagination or those people who are linking with the defense can understand the amount of reactions required for having what is called as a defense system, for the missile defense system, where everything should be taken care within 10 to 15 minutes for at least 5 to 10,000 kilometers long and so on. So these are the tactical networks where the decision making should be very fast and the latency should be very low. And then remote monitoring and then various cloud operation systems are there. We'll go in deep with this. Now let's start with the introduction of what is called the 5G technologies. This is a roadmap where I started from 2008 of LTE release, then 2010 of LTE Advanced, then we were here 2014. Then 15, some thoughts were going on here with respect to 5G, and now 2020 all the standards has been released, and you can see, I can say in the world approximately 15 to 20%. In fact, because of the COVID, I hope there is a delay in case of implementation of this one, but one or other day we have to go into that area of 5G where the structures will come into picture from the application point of view. Now this is the technologies where we can say will be involved in this is massive MIMO is there, ultra-dense networks are there, mobile networks are there, high frequencies are there. So this is I'm proving just like a Monte Carlo simulation, the terminologies which would be used when I combine this in some kind of a integrated manner in an effective way, I should be able to get what is called the future integration access technologies. So what it consists of, respond to the traffic explosions, device to device communication, ultra reliable communication, massive machine communication, etc. etc. So this is again the cell point of view where one of the solution in case of getting those high speed communication or more data is through macro cell, micro cell, pico cell, femto cell, 5G, LTE advanced, UMTS, GSM, etc. wireless LAN. So this combined gives you what is called as a scenario of a cellular telephone or the network here. So data rate, for high data rate is requirement is 1 to 10 Gbps virtual reality office. Volume is high in case of a stadium, dense urban information society, or specifically as though unfortunately the Tokyo Olympic 2020 was being cancelled, but you might be happy to know that this live telecast of this 2020 Olympic was supposed to be in a 5G, and this demonstration was done maybe 3 to 4 years before we had some kind of a and through some companies there which is having what is called as a Japanese company of instruments, and they have demonstrated the technology there. So still it is ready, but 2020 I think next year it is going to happen. I'm sure more matured live telecast will be there with respect to this. Latency of 5 milliseconds. Traffic efficiency and safety, specifically road safety, driverless cars, these are the case. Battery life, 1 decade, massive deployment. So specifically, I think there was some circulation on WhatsApp where it says that where you can go some kind of a traffic or a battery, specifically, you will have a lifetime warranty for that one and so on. So we are looking, people who are from the energy challenges can look into this challenges. Connected devices, we have infinite devices, 3 lakh per AP access point. So previously, when I was negotiating between the various technical teams for having an access point to us, they were saying 300 and 200. Now we are speaking about 3 lakh devices per access point and so on. That's what where the things comes into picture is massive deployment of sensors and actuators in the field. Reliability 99.999%. If it goes below that one, your services are out and so on. So technology, this has been the screenshot of a whole technology and the generation and the technology used for access network specifically, we can say. So let us say 4G, we can have OFDMA, FTD, TDD, time division, LTE, LTE advanced. Wave DMA, FDD time became 5G NR, where NR you might be hearing the news. NR comes into picture as a new radio because a new band is coming into picture for this application. Key parameters, here it is expected peak data rate is 20 Gbps downlink, 10 Gbps uplink. Peak spectral efficiency is 30 bps per hertz for download and 15 bits per second per hertz in uplink. User experience data rate 100 Mbps downlink, 50 Mbps uplink. Area traffic capacity is this. These are some of the technical terms where end user we might not be much more interested into this one, but these are some of the parameters which we are being used to clarify, classify the design of an architecture of any of the network provider. User plane latency 14 milliseconds, 4 milliseconds. Now here new term will be coming into picture, EMBB and EUR low latency and so on. EMB is extra mobile broadband, ultra low latency. Control plane is 20 millisecond latency. Connection density is 10 lakh devices per square kilometer. Energy efficiency should be high. So now look it towards this definition. So when I say a standards is nothing but these are the definitions of a network which to be implemented. This specification should be there as well. Mobility, again, we're speaking of, as Matt is saying also, airlines have started offering internet services, and again with such a speed and so on. So nowadays you will see in Western Europe or China or other part of the world where you can see a train with this kilometer, and then you expect the downlink and uplink in this range and so on. So this is industry view forums, how the technology and standards are being designed. There are the industry forums are there, standards development organizations are there, regulatory bodies are there, where national administrations are there, regulatory bodies are. One of the forum is IET, you have seen that one, which system concern, IEEE is there. Technical standards bodies are there, which takes care. So this combinations where some kind of them are the product vendors, where the product vendors are what is called as the OEMs are there, where Fujitsu is there, Huawei is there, I'll list you the Samsung is there, Nokia is there. These are the people, and operators when it comes to you, maybe let us understand from India point of view, is Reliance is there, Airtel is there, BSNL is there, etc. etc. So these all combination will define the standards from any of the technology point of view. Now when you see any technology, there are two things. One is IMT Advanced and IMT 2000. These are the two things for 5G itself, where these are the two different name in technologies, where you can see that peak data rate, average traffic capacity, this go on changing actually. In some applications I require more latency, in some applications I require very high experience data rate, some applications I require large data set. So in such a cases, now this term comes into picture is a single network based upon a requirement can be tuned to this multiple applications. So what are the specification? In some case of a spectral efficiency, latency point of view, mobility point of view, peak data rate point of view, etc. So this is where a machine type communication is being used, what is called as a massive machine type communication, where lakhs of devices are connected and the communication is used. So in this case, this is the specification. Ultra reliable low latency communication is, this is what the specifications are being used as. So this diagram gives you some kind of a variation in our architecture, and this is what is called as the EMBB. So you will see in future now MMTC comes into picture, URLLC comes into picture, EMBB comes into picture, which gives you the three different application areas of the 5G. What are the pillars? This is the most important thing again of 5G, and this is what the technology comes into picture. In this case, I may skip some of the slides because of lack of time, and try to ensure that most of the things are being introduced, and if any details are required, we will get back to you afterwards. Most important thing is radio access technologies, where evolution of a RAT, again you might have gone through, if you are going through 5G and LTE terminology, you will say RAT is radio access technology, which is the solution to 1000 into X capacity that is required, which has to support a massive more number of devices in 3 dimensions and 3D mapping. Advanced multi-user beamforming is there. So when you go through the MIMO, you'll see that the combination, I think most of us have gone through what is called the antenna and antenna arrays. The antenna arrays and the firing and the combination of the antenna arrays by means of adjusting my current given to each of the array, I can adjust the beam and the gain also. So same thing comes into picture here. Advanced multi-user uh, beamforming can be used to ensure that those direction or gain of a beam is high to enhance the gain of a system. Here enhanced interference cancellation and interference coordination is there. Why this cancellation and coordination comes into picture is even if there is a single antenna, then we can see that there is a fading direct signal and indirect signal also. Now here we are seeing multiple antennas. So in this case, a lot of signal processing is being used, and a lot of people are required for taking care of the designing an algorithm to have a signal processing which cancels and correctly identifies the desired signal. This is what the technologies are there. I can offer. This is multiple and medium access schemes are there, where some of them I'll explain. OFDM. SCMA is there, NOMA is there, IDMA is there. So these are the comparison table. Now let me check if I can explain some of them. This you might have gone. FDMA is frequency division multiplexing, which was being used in AMS and TAC. So just communicate FDMA. Many times you might be asking why FDMA. So this is where the AMS was being and TSC was being used in this case. TDMA is used in case of GSM and hybrid TDMA. FDMA combination is there with the FDD. 2G are based on TDMA. OFDM, which are presently being used, either a WAN, WLAN or LT. This is what the structure comes into picture. Orthogonal frequency division multiplexing. We call this an orthogonality because when one peak is there, other is 0 and so on. So this is the block diagram of OFDMA. Spectrum multiple access system, where we have code division multiple systems, where in case the hopping can be frequency hopping, or it can be a time domain. This is also called a direct DSCDMA, we can call this, or it's a combination of orthogonal as well as random speed splitting. Advanced multiple access systems are multiple carrier filtering, filter bank multiple carriers, universal filter multiple carriers. One of the system, I'll not go with the other cases, but one of the system what you can see is called as a NOMA. You will see that this is most of the time being used here. OMA is orthogonal multiple access system. NOMA is non-orthogonal multiple access system. Now in this case, what is being done is these are the two devices. Okay, these are the two devices in the same spectrum. Okay, so it is in the same spectrum but different power level. And this different power level will take care of the processing of identifying this device and this device. So out of some of the technologies, NOMA is one of the technology that is being used for the access network to identify this one. Space code multiple access systems are there. So in multi-carrier system, space code is there, and IDMA interleaving division multiple access systems are there. So these are some of the things which are being used in case of access network of space code, as I seen here, forwarded correction codes. Illustration of SCDN is there, but this is one of the technology which you can be used for the communication purpose in access network. Interleaving, the concept is same as that of what we are done in case of interleaving codes. Radio access for V2V, V2X is a vehicle to X is any architecture, so can be done over D2D communication, uplink and downlink. So for traffic safety, rely on V2V communication, vehicle to vehicle communication. For safety purpose, we have V2V. Flexible MAC schemes in case of varying degree of connectivity. And then current schemes that are being used, these are some of the practical applications wherein V2V 802.11 MAC CSMA is being used. Now this is what the combination of a picture of 5G comes into picture, where we can say that is a heterogeneous network. So this is what is called as a NOMA. This is a U plane, user plane. This is a control plane. This is a RAD, radio access network, where you can say multiple antennas. VLCs, visible light communication, beam selectivity is there, higher potentials. These are some of the example of, I can see what could be an architecture of a 5G when communication through various networks actually. So here is subband, this is K band, V band, etc. So NOMA is non-orthogonal multiple access system, and this is how the communication takes place between the NOMA is non-orthogonal, where the power level is different for the same frequency band actually. And then there are some algorithms which it detects. Actually, there is a mathematical expression also, but because of lack of time, we'll not to go in deep with it. Another important thing is what is implementation solution is a small cell, where you might be seeing that previously you used to see a used towers. Even today, this used towers are there, which covers around 1 kilometer or 2 kilometer. But the days have been gone where now the towers will not be taking a decision. The small cell towers will be taking a decision, and each of the tower will be at your home and so on. And this tower will be connecting to the macro cell or some by other means and so on. So this is hyperdense small cells, where the promising solution to meet one of the solution to have 1000x capacity is a small cell. Used to enhance the area spectral efficiency. We have seen that as the size of a cell decreases, we have a more capacity. The same concept is being used here also. It can be a multi-tier HitNet or can be a RAD type, and hyperdense small cells are there. So this is scenario of a 5G NR, where we call as a femtocell, picocell, microcell, macrocell, where for home business 4 to 8 number of users, picocell is for 64 to 128, microcell for urban and urban areas, you can say metro cell more than 250. So based upon the requirement and the distances also, you can see that for the home 10 meters, tens of meters, few hundred meters and hundreds of meters, etc. So in case of small cells, these are the antennas or cells being used, and then a combination of the users. New concept is what is called as the machine type communication. Here what it gives you is, previously what we used to do is what is called as a either human used to talk to the machine or machine used to talk to the human. Okay, what was the first generation? Human was supposed to talk to human. Then came into picture is human is talking to the machine, giving an instruction to each of the machine. Next part is machine is giving an instruction to human. You have set up a smart home. Okay, if something goes wrong, you get a message on your cell phone, you correct it, and the corrections are being done and so on. Now the third version is machine to machine type communication. This will not come to human being, but the machines will take a decision on that. So solutions are there, thoughts have been coming here, and what are those things is what is called as the use cases in terms of automation of homes and buildings, lighting doors, windows, ACs, monitoring infrastructures, monitoring remote areas, agriculture, autonomous vehicles, factory automation that will study in applications. This is what where the 5G will be coming into picture, and then machine to machine type communication will come. Categories are there, various types is a massive or simple. In this case, where you want a larger battery life period, where it is a sensor network comes into picture, or you want a massive communication where the 3 or more lakh devices comes into picture. The 5G system should be able to support the different services. Ultra reliable MTC comes into picture, where either V2V coming into picture, where you want a communication reliability of 99.99999 solution and so on. So with this reliability, that's what one of the specification of 5G is what is called as 1 millisecond latency. So this is being used and practically been done for having a remote operations, and practically being checked and done using the 5G technology in China actually. So this is very important. 99.99 reliability, that's what the application from ultra reliable low latency come into picture. And also self-driving, as I said, unless and until the low latency is there, the self-driving car realization will not be there and so on. This is an example where the kind of a packet, this is what is called as, you might have gone through computer networks and you might have seen the payload and the headers. So in case of machine type communication, it depends upon whether I want the things to be sent fast or things to be sent on a massive type. Based upon this, what is called the data and packets are there. So this is A, what is called as a packet for broadband communication, B, short packet for machine type communication, where the latency should be reliant, common casual relationship between receiving and control information, and then low delay transmission spread frequency. So this is a combination, logical explanation how the communication of the packets are there in case of a MTC. This is what OMA, orthogonal multiple access, because this do not overlap, but in NOMA power levels are there. This is a power level. So same frequency, multiple signals are there, and there is a signal processing or some new technique coming into picture, which will differentiate between the two devices actually. There is some terminology. Let us skip this theoretical part. One more term comes into picture is what is called as a SON, self-organizing network. Previously, we used to have a person going on a road and various levels where maintenance of the systems are done, but now architecture is sought in such a way that the new algorithms are coming in such a way that the SON network comes into picture, automatic interference and load balancing, shifting of a load from one cell to another cell. That's what the cooperative network comes into picture, cognitive network comes into picture. Network sensing comes into picture. Based upon network sensing and average shifting of a network coming into picture. Network health checking, specifically in case of what is called as a network architecture. People recheck the network by running an algorithm. So same thing here also, network health, all parameters are being checked by running an algorithm to check whether things are going perfect or not, and correcting themselves also. The reason why the correction comes into picture easily here, we can go into picture, that is now here everything is a software based. There is no hard based and Mac based, everything is a software based, and easily I can change the configuration and the application of any of the RAT and RAN also and so on. That's the reason the expected faster of QoS and QoE comes into picture in case of SON. So this is an interesting area of research. People would like to come into picture and work on how the automation and testing and detection of a fault tolerance comes into picture in the self-organized network. And with this only, the realization of 5G comes into picture. Which are the components? In fact, this is the detailed part. Plug and play of a components are there. Self-optimizations are there. Optimization in terms of fine tuning of a RAN performance, or interference mitigation, or load balancing, or energy saving, or self-healing. So these are the parameters or algorithms which you can work in case of a self-organizing network. Or it can be a distributed or centralized way, conventional methods. Millimeter wave, I'll just add to this part. I think those who are working in a microwave, there are new, that's what the new radio comes into picture is NR. Why it is for a 5G, it is called NR, is where using this extended band for the communication. There are limitations, but still this is one of the way of having a solution. So till LTE we are using this one, but for 5G and above, this is one of the possible scenario where you can go from 300 gigahertz to 30 gigahertz, or 30 gigahertz to 300 gigahertz. There are issues. The issues, as they are already being shared with other applications, technologies, path loss is very high, tends to propagate only line of sight. But then again, there are some solutions which are worked based upon the requirement. There are pros and cons. Small antenna size, small separators, hence beamforming is in a small area is possible. SDMA can be used to improve the capacity, and beamforming can be used as a directed towards moving by MS adjusting the heat and all. New radios are there, various terminologies are there. These are some of the configurations, digital, analog, and hybrid. I'll skip this part. Efficiency of energy. In fact, one of the specifications used in case of 5G is your battery life has been reduced, or the energy consumption has to be reduced by 10%. In fact, most of the 5G research papers are published in a green IT journal, which says that how do you reduce energy consumption and so on. I'll just give you a brief of this one. Most of the things depends upon what is called as a architecture, and the new architecture that is coming into picture is the device takes a decision, not a mobile station BST takes a decision and so on. So present scenario in case of 4G also, base station takes a decision and device is only giving a signal that I am indicating here and so on. But then those devices and architectures have been changed. Here energy efficient RAN and backhaul network is expected. OpEx can be reduced to E design, and various multiple terminologies and architectures are there which can be used for reducing the energy efficiency. RAN virtualization is, I think you might have heard the name terminology called as a software defined network and the virtualization. So virtualization is nothing but a common terminal which is being used for various operations, which allows the sharing of wireless infrastructure. So this kind of architecture is used in terms of what is called as sharing of an architecture also. So the same infrastructure can be used by Airtel, used by Vodafone also, used by Reliance also, rather than spending money individually on each of them. That's what the RAN virtualization comes into picture, and here it is to be pushed to the from core to RAN. Core is different and RAN, random access network. Network virtualization can bring down the capex and opex, so is the cost also. This is another important terminology of the solution to have a device-to-device communication, where you might seen that, as already I've said many times, in a home or in a network. Presently, I'm in my college, and I think we have around 50 people. In your college also 50 people, or more than 50 people with there. And when you're communicating among yourself, always you are going to the core network and coming back. So even if you are here, the network goes here. So is there any way where I can identify the end device and transfer my traffic within this area itself? That's what the device-to-device communication comes into picture, and that's the reason the new 5G devices are capable of having D2D devices actually. Benefits, most important, it release the spectrum here, so increase the spectral efficiency, improves data rate and capex per unit area, extend the coverage, reduce the latency, etc. Naturally, latency will be reduced because we are here itself. Devices with D2D capability, and due to the short distance also the energy requirement, as here you are here, the energy consumption is very less. So if you want the device to transmit the signal to the base station and come back, you can imagine the energy required here and here, that's very hands-on. So multiple advantages are there. It may be people who are working in microelectronics area can work into this designing protocol at the edge, where you can define how the communication has to be identified. Presently we do a Bluetooth, but that is to be, we have to set up a call as well. But in this case, how automatically things done, identifying the network and the call that is being done at a device. This is some of the scenarios. Challenges are through capacity, throughput gain, latency, availability, enabling services, multi-cell D2D. These are various methodologies. This is what the massive MIMO significance comes into picture, where multiple antennas are there. So this multiple antennas, by controlling the array here, I can define my gain of an antenna in any direction. So MIMO is very important in case of realization of a 5G, and things are, experimentations are being done to verify these things, and the practicals are being done, and the testing is being also done. So this is an exclusive area where a lot of people are working on MIMO to ensure the gain of an antenna arrays, as because this is an antenna arrays are there, and the gain and selectivity. What is more important is selectivity. I should be able to tune to any direction based upon the requirement, etc. This is another example of an architecture of a 5G, where this is what the massive MIMO comes into picture, where I can have an M2M communication, I can have D2D communication. This is between IoT. This is an enhanced vehicles communication. This is where the moving cells are there. This is a train which have been shown. This is where the dense cells are there, where a lot of devices are coming into picture. A mobile wave broadband is there. Control plane, ultra low latency plane. So this is on an average an architecture. How does a view of a 5G come into picture from the services point of view? One more concept is called NFV and SDN. Today's large network, as I said, this is one of the technology where a lot of solution to the enhanced network come into picture and so on, configuration point of view. This is large and increasing variety of hardware. Launching new services is easy. Integration of a complex hardware, costly procedures, and costly procedure design and lengthy time to market. Other hardware life cycles has to be become shorter. So what is and maybe in next part of my thing also coming to picture is, if I want to launch a service today, or maybe 2 to 3 years before, you can imagine how much time Reliance took to design, launch their first service and so on. Today, already infrastructure is there with the high tech. Simply configuring a network will launch a new services in selected areas, selected services, etc. This has been possible because of an architecture of a SDN and NFV and so on. So these are what is called as a terminology of virtualization of a network function. VNF is also called as, So where you can, whatever the network elements were there. So whatever the network element E node B is there, the node that is base station. Now this is a virtual. So this I can configure to anything, just like a plug and play. So this NFV consists of software implementation, hardware implementation, virtualization of management, orchestration. Orchestration is adjustment, hardware acceleration. So these are some of the work where virtualization of a network function is done, and based upon that, the architecture can be configured and be flexible anytime else. SDN, maybe this is again itself a different area where one of the solution to have a perfect controlling core network is SDN. Because of the separate control and data plane, logical centralization of a network in places, and abstraction of a physical network from application services point of view. Because you have all the details at the core network and the decision can be made at a core to take any kind of a decision at the axis. So these are some of the things with respect to SDN. A control layer is there, APIs are there, open flows are there, NFV is the flexible infrastructure of which SDN software can run, and these are the enablers for the 5G in terms of flexibility, where tailored functionalities to be made available on the demand, and scalability and so on. Applications, now always remember massive machine type communication, ultra machine type, ultra LCUs, it should come into picture, and eMBB is extra mobile. Cognitive is a sharing, cognitive networks, one of the area where primary user, secondary user is there, where spectrum sensing comes into picture, and various terminologies are there with respect to this. Sorry for this figure, but this is how you can see cloud RAN, maybe new terminology, enhanced backbone networks are there from the small cells. Bluetooth is area, microwave is there, Wi-Fi small scale. This is a picture which is giving you what is called a heterogeneous network or some kind of a key features of 5G network. This is an architecture of a multi-RAN architecture, emerging architectures here, okay, where architecture is new radios are coming into picture. This is the service level. As you have seen, this is the same as that of what is the computer levels are there. Resource and functional levels are there. Then network level is there, and service levels are there. So this we can see as a physical layer. This is sources from 5GPP architecture word and view on 5G architecture. So we can see that core, cloud, wide area network, edge cloud. This is again mobile edge cloud, new terminology coming into picture. Wireless and fixed accesses, network slicing, programming, network function virtualization, network related realized in software. Network function virtualization is network realized in software, core and RAN, and cloud resources through the network. Programmable network, orchestration of a network resources such as infrastructure, RAN, core, transport. I can have a flexibility in all these resources infrastructure. What is network slicing? Is I can classify the network for various tenant point of view, multi-domain, multi-tenant point of view, including radio, core, transmit, edge, and so on. I can configure to any part. I'll give you some example afterwards. So what are the applications and latency? This is figure gives you. It is from the source of Nokia white paper. When the latency decreases, these are the applications: 10 seconds, lighting, water, fleet, vehicle, informate, consumers, etc. 10 milliseconds traffic control here. Now we are here 10 milliseconds and 1 millisecond industrial automation, haptic VR, 360 VR, tourism, etc. And so on. Virtual reality, augmented reality. So from application point of view and bandwidth point of view, this gives you a picture of the applications which are the key performance indicator for the 5G evolution. So what are the principles, benefits? Avoid independency, enable multi connectivity including RAT, support the coordination of features used for node and via different backhaul categories, and embedded flexibilities having programmable framework. So now we are, by understanding the terminology, now we are going towards the various design approach. Full centralization, partial centralization, fully distributed operators are there. So these are again based upon the applications, various categories are there from the classification of the architecture point of view, physical architecture point of view. This is one of the network which we call as a core network is there, then a metro network is there, aggregation which integrates, and this is access network which we are presently here. So here you can see that EMB is there, EMB is enhanced node, these are the small cells, Then this P2P communication, point-to-point wireless communication. So this is how the architecture of any network comes into picture, which gives a brief view of a backend element what are involved in case of a 5G. The same thing. Now, before going to this, I will shift to some of the architectures or some of other. Just give me a few minutes because I have to shift to some. Give me a few minutes, please. मी बोलत होतो तुम्हाला बोल हां नाही मी थोडं आहे आणखी मी सांग
College today, Sanjay?
Yeah, college. Yeah, a lot of parallel work. Sorry. Actually, I'm just.
No problem.
So let me say, okay. So what I want to go is understand from the ecosystem point of view. Okay. So are you able to see my screen now? Okay. So yeah, this is ecosystem which deals with what is related to some kind of finance related, and why should I go for study this 5G ecosystem science? Goals to deliver 5G connectivity goals, investment, innovation, and infrastructure setup, building capacity. Now this is again a white paper which gives you an information regarding the 5G things and so on. In US, this gives you relativity of relatively high use, relatively moderate use, and relatively low use. In terms of extra mobile broadband, fixed wireless access, FWA is one of the application of a 5G, where you can give fixed wireless access to the customers. Just like cable is there, now new term will be coming into picture is, rather than connecting through the cable, you will be giving through a device, you will be able to connect to the each user and so on. Then immersive experiences, all of you know, manufacturing, video surveillance, and the connected vehicles. So this is a scenario which will give you among the world how the applications are coming into picture from the 5G. So these are naturally from 5G point of view. All these things are from the 5G point of view and how the world is going to govern. So where relatively heavy green color, you can see that these are relatively heavily being used and so. Of course, India, you can see a bit less, no green color, but still we expect from the massive point of view it will be very high. This is the scenario of 4G consumptions. Indian spectrum classification, then first innovation center. Okay, let me skip this part of the 5G. What I want to. So the applications in IoT connections, various areas are there: smart homes, consumer electronics, smart vehicles, wearable consumers, smart buildings, smart utilities, etc. Consumer section and industrial section. This is the present growth that is being expected. Partnerships and alliances are there with respect to telcos. CDN here is, we can say CDN is a content development network, content data network. OTT players are there nowadays. We can see the OTT are more part of those things. Content partnerships from the global point of view, India point of view, 5G enabled, smart offices point of view, point of sales machines point of view. You see nowadays connected cars, surveillance in commercials. So these are the applications where three things comes into picture: a service providers, a business oriented person, and an end user. The combination is there. Healthcare is another application where telemedicines will be based upon what is called as a location based services, market opportunities, Network features requirements are there. Ultra low latency, high reliable securities are there. Services from the point of view wireless teleservices. Some examples are happening here. Okay, this is one chart which gives you technical difficulties and application scenarios of economic valuable application scenarios, and this is x-axis is easy and high, those parts. So here agricultural drones, the combination will give you the information of what are the things available. Economic efficiency of 5G in dollars, $20 trillion more in case of manufacturing is $20 trillion, $10 trillion from information and communication point of view, logistics and architectures, real estates, health and others. So you can see the amount of money involved in case of applications presently still they are not there. So you people can design and imagine, can start working on that, where this is a trend. Again, this is from the survey that is taken from finance survey, which will be some kind of a intensive for you to work to look towards this amount of money that will be invested and so on. Current scenarios in India, these are the people, Samsung, etc. I would like to go to which are the companies involved and what they are doing presently. Security scenarios. Okay, another important, I would like you to look into this part is the devices. Till Feb 2020, around 200 devices were there in the market. Okay, what were those devices? Some of the details are from Global Mobile Service Suppliers Association. Phones were there. Head-mounted displays were there. All of you know what are the head-mounted displays. Hotspots, 5G hotspots were there. Indoor CP is a premises, indoor component premises devices, outdoor component premises devices are there. So these devices are there. Laptops, notebooks, modules are there. Snapdragon dongles, whatever the dongles are there available. These are the devices available in 5G presently. Another is routers, drones, robots, tablets, TV, switch, USB terminals and vending machines. These are presently available in the market. Now you can imagine using this and can build up an applications. Who are those people? These are the people who have their products in the market, and usually there are classification from the OEM point of view and the services point of view. As far as backbone and the core network is considered, all of you know Huawei is the top market. Where another comes into this picture is a ZTE, then Qualcomm from the chip point of view, Nokia from the services and systems point of view, Ericsson is from the application point of view. I'm missing this one actually. So these are the companies which are involved in case of backend and applications devices point of view. This distribution of 5G devices ecosystem in 2019 December was there. So 34% phones, 8% of CPs, modules, then hotspots, switches and routers, dongles, and other elements were there. 30% was a CPU, that is for starting a new business, etc. So this is what is called as a market statistics. Equipment vendors are Huawei, then Ericsson is there, where Huawei is fixed wireless access, end-to-end solutions. Huawei plans to ship around 2 million 5G base stations in 2020, already done. Okay. Ericsson end-to-end solutions, specifically they are providing end-to-end solutions. Nokia end-to-end solutions from the cloud solutions point of view. ZTE is end-to-end massive ultra dense, and Samsung. So these are the equipment and backend service providers here, but core is again there. Maybe Cisco is there, Huawei is there. There are many available. These are the just brief of the equipment vendors available on the market point of view. Asus connected PC experience, HTCs are there, LG is there, 5G and for these are some of the products available. Sierra Wireless, Sony Mobile, IoT products, Vivo, etc. These are the companies involved. Marketplace, data center from OEM point of view is Dell and Cisco. Infrastructure point of view, Intel is the infrastructure point of view. Backend, network transformation and providers is Huawei and Nokia. Modem is from the Qualcomm. Edge infrastructure, HP Hewlett package, and device manufacturer is from the Samsung and Telco. Dell, I'll skip this. This is maybe a proprietary point of view. I'll skip this one because Huawei has a 5G base station in Z-band and sub 3 GHz band, 5G bearer network, 5G core network, and 5G terminal. In fact, a lot of market is taken care by the Huawei, but all of you know the scenario and we'll go through that, but these are the statistics available. Massive MIMO, these are the devices available with its brand, etc. Small cell devices, baseband, transport, core. Samsung, these are the devices available. Terminals are there, handsets are there, hotspots are there. Knox mobility services are there, softwares are available. This is the technology from Massive MIMO from Samsung, which is an example of 64, I think 64 by 64 antennas are there, where the communication can take place from this. 5G core solutions are also there. Qualcomm, its chips are there. Ericsson is into the solutions actually. Automation solutions are there. Smart factories, connected futures, smart office, smart mining. These are, and healthcare point of view, solutions are there from the Ericsson. These are the platforms where you can experiment those AI-powered radio access networks also. ZTE, Nokia, Siemens, other players, and these are the application cases here, where you can go. Drone applications are there, remote surgery applications are there. Just autonomous vehicles are there, IoT sensors are there, smart cities are there, machine type communications, ultra reliable, low latency, enhanced mobile communication, and augmented reality. So each of these has a 1 hour session for what is called as a detailed application and design and so on. Let me go through the files of this applications feature network. As I said, one of the application is fixed wireless access network, where you can, there is an internet, G node B, that is called a E node B. G node B is an enhanced node, and here is a FWA CPE element, where you can say this is a fixed wireless access services. By using devices, you can provide the fixed access services. Healthcare, which is growth of healthcare due to 5G will be more, low latency, instant high quality link, elderly monitoring remote. There are various ways. In fact, patient applications are there. So online applications comes into picture, and then end-to-end solutions from the Ericsson from 5G point of view also there. Medicine and emergency cares are there. In case of ambulances, ECGs, remote consulting, etc. VR and healthcare. Entertainment OTT platform. Here you can see the 5G is the role played here. It comes into $765 billion. Nowadays we are shifting from what is called as a cable to Sky and Sky to OTT platform. I still remember now, since last 3 months, because of the corona and the news of always corona, I have not switched on my TV on a dish TV except for maybe every day, not more than 10 to 15 minutes. And we are using fully OTT platform for any of the things which is required for me. So there is a huge demand in the OTT platform, and there is a huge demand from the designer's point of view to work on this one. So you can see the growth here. We are now here, 2020. You can see the demand from the 5G point of view with the OTT platform and the entertainment. Intel is there in the various business and forms, media revenues from various point of view. This is media revenue point of view. Various growths are there. Media is from the FWA point of view, enhanced mobile advertisement point of view. So this is classes from OEM. This is the source. New media opportunities are there from new advertisement formats, empowered gaming experiences, virtual environment, new media channels, new sensor dimensions, in-car entertainment, new business models are there. New thing what I would like you people to know is what is a mobile edge computing. It brings the network computing capability closer to the network edge. MEC will help the low latency and better distribution of network virtualization, especially and so on. This will increase the business. So MEC, people who are in research, people who want to go into the work more on mobile edge computing, go into this area because a lot of things are pending for the solution to be done. Network slicing, one of the way network slicing is, what is the slice? We have a feed, for example, let's say we have a cheese, for example, we make a slice and use for different applications. Maybe a burger is there, maybe some kind of sandwich is there, maybe used for something. The same thing concept here is there. We have a soft devices available and we can program them from the various application point of view, eMBB, URLTTC or something else and so on. This is what a network slicing comes into picture. That goes into the core area of what is called as a network. But these are some of the overview upper layer features of what network slicing comes into picture. Another application is smart cities, IoT devices for smart cities, which consist of security cameras. You can have an analysis of all the security cameras. One of the application is massive machine type communication, critical machine type communication, autonomous vehicles, remote health care type. These are from the smart solutions, cities solutions point of view. Mobile edge computing provides computing and the storage capability application at the edge, allows real-time high throughput, low latency areas of the application, specifically from the cell phone point of view, which is for the self-driving, video monitoring, direction, platform recognition, etc. And smart city applications, real-time surveillance. These are some of the examples from Accenture. It's from the reference I have taken it from Accenture. Self-driving cars, smart parkings, real-time monitoring and gunshot provides from the smart city point of view, detection of a theft, etc. Macrocell and microcells detect what is called as how do you have a surveillance in all these areas. Entertainment is total is 765 billion in terms of video games, music, advertisement, AR, VR, 4G kit, live streaming. IBM, these are all the platforms from IBM, reference from IBM. Drone applications, 46 billion dollars application next coming years. In case of flying cameras, deliveries, public safeties, precision agriculture, using again the 5G again. You can see defense is the most important thing. In agriculture, you have seen autonomous farming, crop communication, drilling, fixed wireless access. Most important, just give me 5 minutes. Sir. Mobile application development, this is a new thing coming into picture is, most of the areas are coming into picture from the application point of view. And these 5G devices are totally different. And these devices, architecture is different, and based upon the architecture at the back end, based upon the architecture of the application, this can be designed and so on. So which consists from 1G, 5G point of view, 50 plus gigabits, 4G high features, high level architectures, etc. With 5G mobile application will start functioning efficiently, boost the productivity and users application from, reduces the website waiting less time, works 100 times better, faster than 5G, reduces the app load, makes IoT devices battery life last for 10 times higher, and improves the communication. Faster the transfer the file faster, next level media reach experience, greater capacity, navigation. Challenges from the security point of view, set of 5G based modules point of view, and multi-apps point of view. Suggestions for 5G apps, ambient computing are there, surrounding environments such as IoT, sensors, machine type devices, and technologies. So I'll just go through last part of, I think, hope I have a time. Security, for example, now when we are going towards the large part of a network and a high-tech network, previously it was hardware based, now it is a IP based. lot of security issues will come into picture and so on. First hacking was reported in 1960, 1970s. Motivation of hacking was a fun level previously, but now various things are there. Might be of malware, phishing, passwords, denial of services, man-in-middle, drive malware, softwares, cryptography, etc. Multiple things are there. So security issues in 5G, eavesdropping was there, cell phone, then however had been taken care of those. Then there was a man-in-middle attack, this was being taken care. Security threats in 4G are there, where it is a ROG, E node B are there. How do I identify this now? Security threats for 3D was from the 3G point of view as authentication and key agreements between the base stations and so on. For example, I have a duplicate base station kept and say that this is the original, and I exchange everything. So I get all the data from yourself. So this was a problem, and in case of security from 3G point of view, this has been rectified now. But in case of 4G, 5G, remote access to 4G security measures. Always install authorized app in case of 4G. Download the apps from the endorse the app storage only. That's the reason service providers mention you that you ensure that you're downloading the apps from the respective area point of view. So protect the app's access password, define the service access policies, enable the encryption. Business and critical applications should be secure container in encryptions and control sensitive data, install antivirus, etc. What are the threats? Insecure mobile applications, operating systems, download unauthorized apps, insecure apps, virus, malware, spyware, and denial of services. What are the requirements? Emergency and cost, massive connectivity, low latency, seamless, ultra reliable availability, enhanced power security. And these are the services and applications. Security landscape in 5G is cyber warfare, espionage, and critical infrastructure threat. Because most of the things are depending upon the infrastructure, the threat to that one is there, and a lot of care has to be taken. In fact, there is one full issue with respect to reasons for security issues in 5G. We will connect 7 trillion devices. Average service creation is 90 hours to 90 minutes. Service creation time is 90 minutes. New services, privacy issues, new business models are there, IT-driven architecture is there, heterogeneous access are there, 5G aims for digital society. That's the reason more security issues are there. And various solutions are there also. I have issued, maybe explained some of the solution here, which will have some kind of explanation, solutions by means of, let's say, trust level, 5G network trust level models are there. Security challenges from the flash network point of view, increase the number of IoT devices, security of radio interfaces, user plane integration, mandatory security of network, roaming security. These challenges are there, and some solutions are there, or in case some of the cases, solutions are to be designed also. These are a lot of, as 5G services are not yet involved also, but a lot of thoughts are to be given. If such was a service, what would have been done and so on. So these are some of the solutions and attacks where it can be possible, and how do you take care from the solutions point of view. Challenges are there, maybe intercept levels, mobile core centralized services, accesses, and challenges in SDN. As I said, concept here is, as most of the network is a soft based and IP based and the control based. So even if you exchange a key and authentication is lost, everything is lost also. So a lot of care has to be taken. That's what mobile, cloud and mobile MVC issues are also there. So in an architecture at each level, various security issues are there and the solutions are also there, and so in some case the solution has to be found. Details are available again. This is a reference from IEEE Communication Magazine 2018. Challenges in privacy challenges in 5G from the data allocation point of view, semantic information point of view, physical boundary point of view, solutions. For example, privacy means what? It should not happen that when I'm at roaming outside, all the people knows where I'm staying and where is my location is. So what is to be done for that? So those issues are there where you can configure your cell phone through that. Are some of the solutions which are available, which I will run through that one because it's technical detail. I just want to let you to know what are the seeds of the possibilities of the area of research and areas of 5G. Now the modules, let me go through threat vectors. The threat vector is a multi-dimensional now. Previously it was only physical threat. Now it is multi-dimensional, which turn in terms of a criminal cases are there, state-sponsored cases are there. You have seen political motives are there, adversaries are there, organized crimes are there. A lot of money is involved in that. Those who are expert in 5G or those who are expert in cyberware or the security issues, you can see a lot of money in case of consultancy areas, etc. Next generation landscapes are there from the threat point of view. Various models are there. Strategy, deny, defer, in, engage, service. These are the various technical ways to avoid the security issues in case of 5G. Threat analysis, features, inconsistent security policies. What could be the failures? Inconsistent security policies, leakage of a shared media, minimal devices, readable data stays in disposed devices, inter-application data leakages. And models are there. So let me skip. So these are some of the areas where the security issues comes into picture: illegal intercept, denial of service attack, flash traffic, might be some due to some audio, privacy of breach, fake base station, slice resources, and then challenge. Solutions are there for each of us. Actually, these solutions have been noted here. What I wanted to let you know, if you are, this is a huge topic, as already I said to both Dr. Hari also and Dr. Deshmukh also. My intention here was with respect to provide even information regarding what is going on in 5G, what is the status here, and then what are the things faculty can do, what are the things can the students can do, how the people can get engaged into the consultancy services which are being involved in this case. For details from consultancy services and 5G networks, you can contact me here or on the link page here. For listening, and any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Just like hope. I know I'm sorry for the first part of the lecture, which I missed because of some kind of adjustment of a login password, etc. So thank you very much. I'll be happy to answer some of the questions if there are.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for giving us good knowledge about 5G. So we have some questions for you. So
Yeah.
the first question is, will fiber deployment patterns change when 5G is deployed?
Sorry?
Sir, will fiber deployment patterns change when 5G is deployed?
See, again, many times again, I am saying there, these are the two technology which are supporting each other. Fiber is used for backend and 5G used for can you carry a fiber throughout with you when you are traveling? So at your home it's fine,
No, sir.
but when you are traveling, you cannot support that one. So 5G is supporting, for example, fiber is used to carry all the data at a backend. 10 minute question answer se 10 minute.
Okay.
So this is used to carry a data at a backend actually. So these are supporting each other. They are not a complementary of each other actually.
Okay. So next question, how will 5G latency be lower if processing is being done in the cloud?
No, that's what. No, that's what. If you remember, the architecture is made in such a way. There are three types of architecture: EMBB, ultra low latency, and MTCC. So you are changing the architecture slicing based upon the requirement. Where I have seen, if you have seen that there is a data of a plane where the low latency comes into picture. So based upon the requirement, I may change the requirement of a architecture of access network actually there, which easily by means of a simple configuration of a network.
Thank you, sir. Okay, sir, we have one more question. So as we know that in areas of hilly terrain region, the network for calling is not so reachable. So how do you think that 5G evolution can be accessible to those customers?
Yeah. Specifically, the statistic is being done that your traffic ratio of an individual phone is 80 to 20. 80% is indoor and 20% is outdoor. So small cell is one of the solution when you are indoor. most of the traffic is taken care through the small cell, which is within the range of 50 meters or in your house actually. And outdoor, some various beam forming or specifically the antenna multi-input, multi-output antennas are there, where based upon the location availability, the beam is being targeted towards you. Presently, you don't have those cases.
Okay,
So
sir.
beam forming takes care of those activities where the targeted gain is increased to have the problem of low loss or low signal, etc.
Okay, sir. So, and which industries do you think will be most benefited from the 5G network?
I have already given an application. You have seen
Yes, sir.
entertainment industry is there, remote industry, the drone is there, which has to be explored. Healthcare is there, specifically in defense is there. So very agriculture is there. There are many industries. I have given also the specifically approximate finances involved in each of these cases. Banking sector is there, fintech actually.
So one last question. So, like one of the problems faced by the customers in 4G was that due to the adjusted gross revenue, there was a price hike in the recharges and the bill offered by the companies like Vodafone and Idea.
Yeah.
So will this problem be carry forwarded in the 5G as it is a huge disadvantage to the telecom sector?
No. See, the case is these things are being installed. So today, why 5G is not being installed? The reason is gradually today we do not have an applications for 5G. So utilization is not there. So that's where the people talent pool is being looked into picture for developing the application and getting an access to the solution providers. So maximum is the use, or why the prices were low, because many of them were being used and so on. So similarly thing will happen for 5G also. When most of the people start using this one, naturally the prices will come down.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir, for answering our questions. And now I would like Yukta to take the platform from here on.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, sir, for your stimulating words at the event. Please accept our sincere appreciation for the outstanding insights that you provided, because at this time they are particularly appropriate since the world is considering new initiatives in expanding growth in 5G wireless networks. Our audience will surely be intrigued by the new possibilities in this field. So I would like to thank you once again for making our event so rewarding and so remarkable. We would also like to thank Dr. Hari Vasudevan, sir, Principal of DJ Sangvi College of Engineering, for his constant motivation and encouragement in organizing various technical events. A big thank you to Dr. Amit Deshmukh, Head of the Department of Electronics and Telecommunication, for keeping all of us together during these difficult times and for always being there. A special thank you to our very own branch councillor of IETSF, Professor Anuja Odekar, our faculty coordinators, Professor Archana Chaudhary and Professor Shivani Bhattacharjee, for their relentless support. I would also like to thank Professor Venkat Raman sir for his valuable guidance. Last but not the least, I would like to thank the entire IETSF committee for making this event possible. These have been difficult times, but this is the time which has brought all of us together. So please stay safe, but stay connected. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjay. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
We'll plan something in the future also as an extension.
Sure. In fact, it has many things actually. This was an overview actually. So each consists of 1 year hour. So in fact, initially I tried my level best to compress all the things actually. Thanks a lot.
So nice, valuable. Very. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Sorry. ते लाईव्ह होतं ना ते त्यामुळे